Out of Left Field is brought to you in part by Coordinated Health Hazleton Campus. Better together.
Welcome one and all to another edition of Out of Left Field, the show that takes a different look at local sports. When I go to the gym, what usually motivates me is the thought of dinner waiting for me at home. Vegan meatloaf. Well, at CrossFit Drums, they have different ways to motivate their clients. They're called hero workouts, and they actually serve a lot of different purposes.
5 minutes of burpees.
Even people really removed from the CrossFit world know what a burpee is. And you can see on some of the footage, that's a basic push-up, jumping up off the ground. You know, very simple move, very taxing though.
1 minute break. 5 minutes of deadlifting and box jumps.
7 of each, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, 5 minutes. It's again about finding a way to find that intensity and find that that confidence in the movement.
1 minute break. 5 minutes of Turkish get-ups.
It's basically a lying position with a dumbbell or a kettlebell, and then you go to a standing position with that dumbbell or kettlebell above your head in 6 movements, and you go back in 6 very specific movements. This is designed to test your core and your coordination.
1 minute break. 5 minutes of snatches and push-ups.
Snatch is an Olympic lift. Okay, it's one of the fastest Olympic lifts there are. We're taking a relatively high amount of weight and going from the ground to above our head in about 1.1 seconds.
1 minute break. 5 minutes of rowing.
A rower is something that's really key in what we do here, and it's a very simple 5-minute rowing for calories. It's about building that intensity and finding a way to keep yourself in that little dark zone between the aerobic or oxygenating phase and getting kind of anaerobic and a little pukey. A lot of people get intimidated by things like that. Sometimes that happens here. You know, we have a bucket for that, you know. But, you know, that's something that a lot of people feel is almost a victory, you know, to sit and be able to know that they push themselves to that level of intensity. When you first start, that's not going to happen. It takes weeks for us to kind of breed and hone that ability to find that inner intensity and that inner drive to push yourself farther than what you thought you couldn't do. You know, we don't like I can't. We turn those in I cans.
All 5 of these stations make up one of the hero workouts at CrossFit Drums. This one is called the Dallas 5 in honor of 5 Dallas police officers who were killed in the line of duty by a sniper.
Every Sunday we do a hero workout, and there are hundreds of them. The one that's probably the one that is the most typical would be Murph. Murph is named after Lieutenant Michael Patrick Murphy. He's actually one of the more famous hero wads. I believe they made a movie out of his struggle. He was in Afghanistan and put himself in a very awkward, uncomfortable position to take enemy fire for a long period of time while his rest of his Navy SEALs, when he was a Navy SEAL as well, was able to sit and be extracted from that area, and he ultimately lost his life. That's probably the best example of what we're about and what our hero wads are about. So, yeah, it's a mile run with a 20-pound vest. It's 100 pull-ups with a 20-pound vest. It's 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and another mile run with a 20-pound vest. Now, does everybody need to come in and do it that way? Absolutely not. I can scale that for someone who's very new. Sometimes we break up the rounds. Sometimes we don't wear the vest. Sometimes we use rubber bands to help the pull-ups. But that's designed to honor a fallen veteran.
The CrossFit Drums community took this particular workout a step further. Not only would they honor the memory of fallen heroes with their sweat and hard work, they would also raise money for those in their community putting their lives on the line every day for the safety of others. Welcome to the first ever CrossFit for Cops event. CrossFit training can be intense. In order to push your body to the limit, your spirit will need some support.
You know, one of our mottos here at CrossFit Drums is redefining fitness, redefining family, and that is something we really take seriously as our community. We really take care of our own. You know, we consider this a family, and we're always trying to help each other out. We're encouraging each other. This is not, when you see someone finish early or soon, that guy's not kind of like high-fiving himself. That guy, the first thing he's going to do or she's going to do is turn around and start encouraging. You know, the people who get the most encouragement are the people who are finishing towards the end, okay? That's a really kind of special experience to see someone right at the end and having 5 or 6 or 10 people around clapping, carrying on. It's a very positive experience. There's really no negativity here.
Phil Benyo is a level 1 CrossFit trainer and one of the owners of CrossFit Drums. He's formed a family within these walls, and this family does more than just spot each other.
We have a couple of law enforcement individuals in our gym, and we're as a family, we talk about our daily struggles, and we get to hear kind of what they're doing. And I was kind of surprised some of the issues that we had in our area. And on the grander national scheme, right now, the police are kind of, they're kind of like really in the media, not being held, I think, in quite the light they should. They're really getting some bad press. I said, I see these people day in, day out. These are great people. They have to do a very difficult job. That is not for everybody. It takes a special person to be a cop, to sit and put themselves on the line every day, knowing they may not come home that day from work. My job, I have a tough job. I get to come home from work every day, and it's very much a guarantee. I would find it very hard to be able to do that. In our area, some of the police forces are having difficulty also with funding certain things like vests and things for their canine units. So we thought it would be nice to do an event called CrossFit for Cops. It's going to be a feel-good event. Bring some police down, invite police force from all of Luzerne County to come down. Invite anybody who wants to come to work out, come down. And we're going to honor them doing Dallas 5 workout. We're going to raise some money. We're going to use that money to actually help pay for some of the equipment costs that they're running into problems with. And so it's kind of a neat event. It's the first that's really been done in our area. I'm hoping it's something we can do every year and just see this really grow and foster.
Once everyone catches their breath, CrossFit for Cops is a great way for people to interact with local law enforcement.
It's great to have the community support, that they come out and support the police and get everybody active, and there's more behind the badge than just what you see. I mean, we're people too. It's nice to be able to interact with everybody there.
This is tremendous. This is about building trust and legitimacy with the community, and the community taking part in supporting their law enforcement. It's absolutely phenomenal for us. And what you have to realize is this is one of the 6 pillars of the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing, which is officer safety and wellness. That is key. That's one of the 6 pillars of 21st century policing, and having a place like this provide that for us is just outstanding.
Jessica Hutnick is a patrol officer in the city of Hazleton. She stays in shape by doing CrossFit.
I have been in CrossFit for a while. I went to a military college, which they started doing that. When I went to the police academy out in Arizona, they were big on CrossFit. And after having a couple kids, definitely that's a good way to stay in shape.
How important is being fit and working out and kind of being ready for anything?
It's extremely important. It goes to maintaining that control of your body under stressful conditions. If you have to run after someone and then catch them, what do? You have to still have some energy to fight. Not every call is going to be hands-on, but you never know when it's going to turn violent at any time.
Is it a stress releaser for you? This looks very stressful to me, but do you go to work out sometimes to clear your mind?
Absolutely. Working out is like my #1 stress release.
Officer Hutnick says today's workout was a bit of a grind. Her chief seems like he agrees.
I've never seen CrossFit, but I'll tell you what, I'm glad I'm not in a pair of gym clothes, because I'll be honest with you, it's pretty intense. And you can see that these officers are really dedicated and really physically fit, so it's a great thing.
Throughout CrossFit Drums, there are many posters of encouragement to get people through their workouts, but maybe looking at this flag will push them the most. According to the Hamden, Connecticut Police Department's website, the thin blue line represents the line police officers walk between life and death, the role officers play in the fight between good and evil and order and chaos, and the thin blue line is a memorial for those killed while carrying out their duty.
Up next, we meet some of the members of the Hazleton Area Sports Hall of Fame class of 2017.
Out of Left Field is brought to you in part by Coordinated Health Hazleton Campus. Better together.
Thanks for coming back out of the dugout and back into left field. Hazleton Standard Speaker sports editor Dave Seaman became the story recently when he was inducted into the Hazleton Area Sports Hall of Fame. He's a man who loves his family, his hometown, and yes, sports. Let's take a look at how he looks at the job of local sports reporter.
And so for his excellence in writing and his interest in sports and really exposing the great athletes of the Hazleton area, The Hazleton Hall of Fame honors Dave Seaman.
Hazleton Standard Speaker sports editor Dave Seaman wasn't getting to this moment the conventional way. While he wasn't a star athlete, he was athletic growing up. The Freeland High School alum played football, basketball, and baseball.
I think I batted 118 or something, but I did have a big triple. My brother would be the first one to tell you. I remember a big triple against Jim Thorpe on my senior year, and I hit the fence and I got to third base. That's the last thing I remember about it.
With all the sports that I played as I was growing up, you would have thought I would have been a superior athlete. Hardly. I had the sense before high school that I needed another way to channel my love for sports. I cut my teeth as a sports writer for my high school newspaper.
His future would not include bat to ball, but pen to paper. His destiny as a scribe would lead him to the Hazleton Area Sports Hall of Fame for tirelessly jotting down and conveying the amazing feats of athletes. Seaman knows how hard they work, and he feels he owes it to them to work just as hard at telling their stories. The long hours are worth it for a man who's always loved sports. Every newspaper story needs a good lead, something to draw the reader in. Something like Dave Seaman grew up listening to sports stories, now he's the one telling them.
My father, Donnie, or you may know him as Bailey. He's the one who heard me lurk at the top of the steps on Monday nights in the fall, back when I was a kid, just hoping I could watch a Monday night football game as my mother fell asleep on the rocking chair. I'd wait there until he gave the go-ahead. He said, "Your mother's asleep." So I'd sneak downstairs and then sleep during school. No, not really. He also gave me his little red transistor radio to put under my pillow to listen to baseball games. For whatever reason, probably feeding my voracious appetite for sports, Dad took me to Harmon Guy Stadium as a kid to watch the Mountaineers or the Wildcats play football. He took me to basketball game at St. Joe's and Our Lady of Grace Gym, to Mart's Hall, even Weatherly when the Wreckers played football on Saturday afternoons. I can vividly remember him telling ticket takers, "He's with me." Eventually, as I began to cover games, I'd ask Dad if he wanted to come along with me wherever I was going, Lafayette College, Mart's Hall. When we get to the ticket taker, I'd say, "He's with me," proving life does come full circle.
Not every athlete has the talent to make it on this stage, but they can still have their moment in the sun.
I get just as much charge doing a story on a role player who might have had a big basket or come up with a key rebound in a basketball game, or made a key fumble recovery. You'll never hear about that kid again, but for him that was a life moment, and if he could have that clipping for all time, that newspaper clipping, and he could share it with his family, and they could look back on that and say, for one night I was on the center stage, and to be able to contribute to that in some small way, I'm just a small part of it. That's very rewarding.
There's a lot of responsibility that comes with being the sports editor at a local newspaper in a town that loves its local sports. Seaman says he tries his best, and some days that's not enough. Just like a baseball player can't get a hit every time, not every sports page is destined to be framed. But even when you swing and miss, you keep going, because there's a new story to tell every day.
It's just the competition of it, and just the people behind the games too. What went into that? Maybe a kid hurt his knee the summer before and he came back from that, or a kid has some heartbreak in his family or something, and he's been able to overcome that. Or a coach who I've covered a coach who battled cancer. He went through radiation and chemotherapy, going all morning and driving back sick, having to pull over outside the road just so he could be with his team, and and that team had success, and that team was motivated, and just different levels of motivation that athletes find, young athletes too, and local athletes too. There's no shortage of motivation here. I mean, you want to uphold the tradition like Hazleton area basketball, or Marion volleyball is another good example too. That there's traditions there, and to watch kids live up to what their big sisters might have done, or even aunts or mothers, in years past. It's something worth covering.
The job requires a lot of sacrifice from Seaman, his wife, and his 4 kids. Seaman says his wife even helps proofread some of his work. So it was nice that Seaman had his entire team there in the front row when they read his name and inducted him into the Hazleton Area Sports Hall of Fame.
I accept this honor tonight on behalf of a large team. Those here tonight whom I have mentioned, those that came before me, and those that will follow. Thank you. God bless you.
There were some great stories shared at the Hall of Fame banquet, and it would be selfish of me to keep them all for myself, like when I not only ate my mashed potatoes at the banquet, but my wife's as well. So in the spirit of sharing, here's another segment.
Jeff Sweda starred at the Hazleton High School in football and wrestling in the 1980s. He went on to wrestle at Millersville University. This is just a list of some of his accomplishments, but what may be his true career highlight came on September 11th, 1981, when the Mountaineers were set to play their rival, the West Hazleton Wildcats, in football. Sweda says kickoff was set for 7 o'clock and he was ready to go and in full gear at 3:15. It was what he had the courage to do off the field that still has a lasting impact on his life today.
That was the first time that I decided I manned up. I didn't have Snapchat. I couldn't text anyone. I couldn't email anybody. I manned up and asked my wife, girlfriend at the time, for a date after the game. Well, I played from the first whistle to the last. The whole game, we won 21-12. We were 3-0. We were excited, but I didn't make it at the end. At the end of the game, went to shake the hands of the opposing team, collapsed, had a severe concussion and dehydration. So our first date didn't go very well.
Sweda and his wife Jackie have been married for 26 years. Dennis Mooney averaged over 20 points a game for Black Creek Township High School during the 1965-66 season. His team went on to win the Columbia League Championship. The school then merged into the Hazleton Area School District, and Mooney had to pick where he would finish his high school career.
As Joe mentioned, I went to West Hazleton High School my senior year, and in the summer preceding that year, there were two gentlemen came to our front door in the small village of Weston where we lived. And one of them asked me if I was interested in a fine Catholic education at St. Gabriel's. His name happened to be Digger Phelps. And maybe my true claim to fame is the fact that I turned Digger down.
Mooney went on to play basketball at Bloomsburg State College, now known as Bloomsburg University. Jack Hollis bragged about being in the top 20 of his class at MMI that had 25 students. He got a lot of laughs, but he was a serious athlete. He scored over 1,300 points as a member of the basketball team at MMI. 4 of those points came in one of the most memorable games in our area's history, MMI versus West Hazleton in 1964.
Basketball is 32 minutes long, 4 quarters. I'm going to take you through the game play by play. Jump ball, first quarter. They jump ball every quarter then. We got the ball. We froze the ball. Second quarter, West Hazleton got the ball. They froze the ball. Third quarter, nothing's going on. Sypek, I believe his name was, passed the ball to Grabelny. I intercepted the pass. I drove the length of the court and missed the layup. Shortly after that, at a timeout, our coach, Mr. Geddige, introduced me to his size 14 wingtips and reminded me as to what our game plan was. Anyway, now we're at the fourth quarter. West Hazleton has 5 points, we have 4 points. Nothing happens. There's 18 seconds in the game. We have the ball, we have a timeout. We go over a well-studied play. You know how that goes. Pass the ball in, broken play, somebody scores, we're up, they get the ball, they shoot, they miss. We rebound. Jack Fleischner makes a point, they get the ball, they shoot, they miss. MMI 7, West Hazleton 5. Thank you for your indulgence.
On a night filled with so many stories, it was hard to pick just a few. And even with the few we picked, it's still hard to truly convey the emotion that was in this room. You had to be there to witness the tears and smiles years after the blood and sweat that went into becoming some of the greatest local athletes of all time.
Up next, we go card hunting with some big collectors.
Out of Left Field is brought to you in part by Coordinated Health Hazleton Campus. Better together.
All right, 2-minute drill time. This is the last segment of Out of Left Field. Growing up, my friends and I opened a sports card store in my buddy's basement. We were 7 or 8, so it was more for fun than finance, and my stock was mostly Bo Jackson and Mike Schmidt cards. There was something special about tracking down a new card I wanted. It was almost like a sport. Well, let's take a deep dive into the deep, deep world of collecting.
Sports and religion often cross paths. Football has the Hail Mary pass, the Immaculate Reception, and the New Orleans Saints. In baseball, there's the San Diego Padres, the Spanish word for father and another name for priest. Google that one, it's a really cool backstory. And don't forget about the Los Angeles Angels. In basketball, the Sacramento Kings mascot is nicknamed Slamson, after Samson from the Old Testament, who wrestled a lion. And how many of you at home have ever prayed for one more out, or for the defense to hold just one more time? How many players have you seen point to the sky after a home run, and how many have taken a knee after a big win?
I think that the example that a lot of the sports people show meshes with religion, but then some of them probably not so much, but that's not for me to judge.
That's retired pastor Joanne Young. She still works with the Hazleton Enlarged Ministry. Every year they host a summer camp for local kids, and for 2 decades their biggest fundraiser for the camp has been a sports and celebrity memorabilia auction.
How many years have you been a part of it? I mean, is this an event you always help out with?
Yeah, we had 20 years.
All right, so you've been around it for a while too.
I've been here at least 37.
Okay, so have you picked up anything? I mean, have you learned about the sports cards or anything like that?
That's not. I like the Phillies, and I'm a race fan. So I let the people that come decide if they're worth anything.
One of the people who comes in to help is Jim Lewis of Chuck's Auction Service. Like his father-in-law before him, Lewis gives his time to the Hazleton Enlarged Ministry. So does Jim Davis and his wife Dawn, who helped the Enlarged Ministry get a lot of the collectibles you see here. The event is low-key. There's free hot dogs, soda, and coffee in the back of the room, and some real treasures up for bid in the front.
Tommy Green from the Phillies, the jersey he wore for the perfect game. I think he pitched a no-hitter, and that came through here years ago. So there's been some real interesting stuff.
For many in the Church of Collecting, there's a commandment that states, "Thou shalt not buy online."
When you get into specialty stuff like this, or paper, baseball cards in general, the real buyers want to put hands on. It's nice to see a picture online, but you're worried about how crisp the corners are and how centered is the cut of the card. The real players want to put some hands on it and see it, that it's right, that it's crisp. And again, in this day of computer generation, lots of reproduction stuff floating around. So you know, hands on there's nothing better than hands on.
The same 2 words are coming out of a lot of mouths at this sports card and collectibles show at the Laurel Mall in Hazel Township. Those 2 words are Aaron Judge.
Right now I have a soft spot for Aaron Judge. I've been lucky enough to pull like 7 or 8 of his autographs, and I really like him. I met him, I talked to him, he's a real friendly guy, and I just root for the guy to do very well.
Being nice is nice. Hitting 52 dingers as a rookie during the regular season for the New York Yankees is also good. A lot of people at this show are looking for Judge's rookie cards so they can possibly cash in later or just hold on to a treasure. One of the vendors at this show credits another Yankee with the boom of card collecting.
When I was a kid, like Roberto Clemente was big just because I'm a Pirates fan. Everybody liked Mickey Mantle back then, and he actually made the hobby what it is. It was Mickey Mantle. He started, and that's it. He started, and it just kept growing ever since.
Why do you say that? Because there were so many people interested in getting Mickey Mantle?
Absolutely, a Mickey Mantle, yep. He made baseball cards what they are. Yeah, he's still available, but you're going to pay the price. That's the problem, you know what I mean? He's already a high card. That's where the speculation comes in, is with the rookies. If you can speculate on the right rookies, put them aside, and the guy turns out big, like an Aaron Judge or something, you can make some money, you know?
Collecting can be like playing the stock market or roulette. You could go bust, or you could hit it big.
Yes, I collected for quite a few years, and then some of the cards I sold paid for part of my house, and then I started up again back in 1978 or 1979. It was a good time because I got a hockey set that had the Gretzky rookie in, so it was a good time to start.
But for many, this is a hobby of love, and giving up some of their prized possessions is tough.
And I know it helped you get a home, but is it hard to part with some of these things sometimes?
Yeah, because I've been a fan for such a long time. I was brought up that way, and yeah, it is hard. And I should really start selling now because of my age, and my wife keeps nagging me to sell them. So, but I eventually will sell some of the good ones.
There's a lot of cards out there and a lot of players, and believe me, as a sports fan, it's hard to say no to some of your favorite players, even if they aren't worth that much.
Well, Aaron Judge is the hottest guy right now. But then there's Cody Bellinger. He's 21 years old with the Dodgers. He'll be Rookie of the Year. I mean, there's so many guys in different sports, and that's who they gravitate to, the top guys. But they collect all different people. This guy over here collects Nolan Ryan. Kid over here collects Hank Aaron. You never know. They collect whoever they like,
Everyone has a soft spot. Maybe it's Peyton Manning. Maybe it's Muhammad Ali. Maybe it's the king of rock and roll. Or maybe it's the 41st President of the United States. Regardless, there's a lot out there, and most of the fun is in looking.
Thank you so much for your time. Let us know what you think of the show or give us a story idea. Email me at ken@ssptv.com. Game over for now. Take it easy, everyone.